Presentation is entitled Creating Safer Meeting and Instructional Experiences. Thank you so much for being here, Carl. I'm going to go ahead and let you share your screen.
Very good. You can hear me okay? All right. Thank you so much. And you should be able to see my screen right now. It says Carl Rosenberg.
Yes, see it.
Perfect. Just make sure. All right, I'll go ahead and begin just with a quick introduction. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carl Rosenberg. I'm one of the regional application specialists for Extron in the Mid-Atlantic territory and basically North America. I have been in the AV business now for 31 years. I started off doing rock concerts, rental staging, used to work for Guns N' Roses, The Grateful Dead, Billy Joel and John, did a lot of events here in Washington, D.C., where I still live. I went to work for digital projection for a while, doing the research and development for the TI chips, which are in those projectors. And I've been working for Extron for 20 years as a technical trainer. So welcome, and of course, welcome to this event. And thank you, of course, David and Nicole and LightWerks for having me. This is fantastic. So we will go ahead and begin. Creating a safer meeting room and instructional experience. So when I was asked to do this class, two things that jumped out at me was the fact that I want to make sure that you know that where we're headed here is about two things. Now, if you're watching me right now, small piece of paper, small piece of pencil, there's about 7 things I want you to write down to help you meet this criteria, all right? One of them is what I refer to as the world of the UX, what we call the user experience. Almost everything that we do now has to do with a user experience. If you're in the room, if you're not in the room, if you're at home, if you go shopping, you know, no, it doesn't matter where you are, there's certain things that you'll use if you have better user experiences. For example, people have told me in the past that they'll use Keurigs to make coffee because it's a better user experience. The other thing that you'll know is that we are in the world of what I just call, abbreviate this, sort of the intelligent building industry, which is important. Because what's happening right now to us is, you know, not fantastic with COVID and all the other things, but you are going to have to mix the world of the user experience and the intelligent building industry to make sure that you've got these two things together. Of course, using AV, audiovisual, which is what we do and what LightWerks does, which is fantastic. All right. So let's talk about potentially getting back to work. Well, what you might have is some organizations preparing to return to the office. You might have some new policies about working together. Too many people are gonna, you know, don't huddle all in one spot together. And of course, a lot of what AV is trying to get people together. But of course, the essence of AV is taking information and sending it somewhere else, sending it onto a big screen, sending it across the street, sending it across the world. Some of these rooms are gonna have to be repurposed and redesigned. Now, remember the two things at the beginning here, sort of the user experience and the idea that the intelligent room is going to help you do this. So now this is where this comes in. We're in this very interesting place, you know, where there's fear and there's a bit of an excitement, because normally we'd be very excited about certain things, but we're kind of scared about that. The AV industry has certainly been changing and pushing things to the limits. And then COVID obviously slowed some things down, and now people are a little bit more fearful. So we're in this strange place where we're in the middle. But you should also remember a lot of the classrooms and boardrooms and huddle spaces all wanted to move forward with certain technologies, but we didn't think that was going to happen for a long time. And now it's actually happening faster, which is sort of good for our industry and, you know, keeping people informed and keeping people communicated. But some people are scared about it. I'll give you a great analogy. The autonomous car. Everybody knows that one day we're all going to walk out into our robot car and it's going to take us to the store or something. We know that's going to happen, but we're going to be a little scared about it, all right, the first time we get into this car. And we're in that little bit of a world right now. So with AV, don't be too worried, because a lot of these rooms, we've been preparing for this for a long time. Little history lesson. Spaces are changing. Some of the classrooms and boardrooms, we used to line these chairs up. And I will tell you, this is kind of an antiquated way to teach. This is a 1,000-year-old education system that was invented when they made churches a long time ago. Now, people are gathering together. They're gathering in circles, or, you know, they have to separate, which is the world we're in right now. So you'll see some of these rooms and these instructional spaces have natural separation, or kind of what we're doing now, a little bit of distance learning. So you're going to have to melt these rooms kind of into both, which is completely doable. And I'm going to show you ways to do that. So some best practices for the evolving ecosystems for a safer workplace. Let's talk about this. So there's the obvious ones we'll talk about room sanitation. I've heard some people talk about that. We'll mention that a little bit. But remember, it's about the user experience, minimizing the touch, making sure that there's rooms are automated with the buildings, wireless presentations, making sure that they're easy to use, and applications using lots of signage and wayfinding. So this is something we've not been doing a lot of in the AV industry, and we need to do more, quite frankly, and this is a good opportunity to move in that direction. So people are not so fearful when they walk into not only schools and corporate boardrooms, but don't forget military centers, government centers. You also have medical locations, schools, universities. I can go on forever. Churches. Everybody wants some sort of interesting information on the screen to tell them what to do in a safer world. All right. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to show you 5 ways to do this. All right. Prepare your pen and pencil. All right. I say that to a class when I'm teaching students. Like, everybody get their piece of paper and pen out. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. All right. But to get a piece of paper and a pencil out, we'll talk about that. And also, you should note that the solutions we're going to give you for these safer workspaces are not bleeding edge technology. This is not some hocus pocus. These are shipping available products, because Extron is famous for sort of the glue of the industry, that you can put and implement right now to make these rooms, these locations, government centers, schools, K through 12, safer for everybody and easier to use in some cases. All right, number 1, wayfinding. So this is certainly something that has come up. I'm going to be walking into a location maybe for the first time, or maybe I'm going back and I may not know where to go now, or maybe I have to go in different directions. So you will find that wayfinding will take a whole new means. We sell and we have lots of products that will give you the availability to do room scheduling. And you can see, you can put these little room schedulers on a piece of glass, you can put them on a wall. Now, the main issue here is that you and I and Nicole or David, we may walk into a building and we may not know where to go. And what we have now is technology to allow you to get out of an elevator, walk into a student union, walk into a medical laboratory, wherever, and a television will in essence tell you what to do. It'll tell you where to go. And then quite frankly, we could see where our meeting is. Now, maybe that one meeting room filled up because there was too many people in it. So we've been told to go somewhere else. How are we going to know where that is? Well, we have a product, time to take notes, called a TLSI 201. It is a wayfinding device. It is a small interface that hangs on the back of a television that you can put into a lobby, or you could put into an elevator area, or wherever you want. It'll tell you walking directions. What does this product do? It harvests information from the room schedulers. And based on those room schedulers, and if the rooms are full, or if somebody has changed the meeting or sent it somewhere else, medical laboratory, government, it doesn't matter, this will then show up on the screen. And then again, if David and I walked in the lobby and there's our meeting, this image on the television would then change automatically and tell us where our room is, all right? And you can have it set up to do this automatically, but also you can have it set to give you information. So remember, it's all about giving the end user now safe instructions. Hey, here's the message: keep your distance. Don't forget to wash your hands. Use your hand sanitizer. Whatever the message will be in this building, you can do this. As a matter of fact, if you go to a lot of hospitals, they try to do this right now, but they don't exactly tell you where these rooms are. This wayfinding technology will actually show you exactly where to go. So this is completely doable because these types of products just simply go on top of a network, any of the top networks that you might have in your location. You give them some simple information, static IP address, a couple of names of a room maybe, and you put them on the wall. They interface with the servers in these systems, not so much the AV equipment, unless you want it to. And then you just put one of these boxes behind a television, all right? So that is solution number 1, is to use a TLSI wayfinding device. Number 2, something called automated control, logos, instructions, branding. If I've seen anything in the last specifically 10 or 11 years, and this walks us right into the COVID conversation, it's to be able to make the room automated, all right? We have so many things in our life that are automated, and I've often wondered why people don't do this more often. So the other thing is branding. People love to see their name up in lights. As a famous person once said about our company, we love us some us. Whatever your company is, you love you some you. The nice thing is when you walk into these schools, university, medical labs, they want to see their names up on the screen. but now there's some extra features you can do. So this is an automatic product, an automated plug and play control system. I know it's very small. I will tell you this small interface is the size of a pack of cigarettes. This is a complete control system for a room to be automated. So no one would have to touch anything but their own product, all right? Very small, just hangs on the back of a television. It is actually an 18 gigabit uncompressed video switcher, if you want to call it that. And it's a control system all in one little tiny piece of equipment, all right? So what you would do with this piece of equipment is you would put it behind a television or maybe a projector. You would hook it up to a motion sensor. And what would happen is somebody would walk in the room, it would trip the motion sensor, and this small product would actually turn on the television. And then when you plugged in your TV, your laptop, the image would show up in the screen. You could also have it set up where you don't even have a motion sensor. Somebody could walk into the room, and the minute they plug in their laptop, it turns on the television and everything else. So you don't have to have, multiple things in the room to touch. It makes it for a better application for people who are worried about going in and touching, thousands of little gadgets, all right? Automation is the key, absolutely positively. And it's sort of an entry-level cost-effective solution. Now, what if you want to do a similar thing, but you wanted branding, all right? So this is a perfect example. This is a product called an IN 1800. These types of products are little tiny switchers that can go under tables and into lecterns. Universities and schools and corporate people use these all the time, but look at the added features. The added features are now somebody walks into a room and this product actually displays a welcome sign. Now, why is that important? Not only does it kind of, hello, welcome, be safe, do this, do that, but it actually gives you instructions of what to do in the room. Plug in your laptop, connect this, do that. Because what happens, I found in a lot of these rooms, is people walk in there and they don't know what to do. And they're too scared to ask, and sometimes there's not a lot of instructions. These images are stored on the product, right? And then theoretically, if I walked into the room and plugged in my laptop, now my image is on the screen. I could be making my Zoom call or doing whatever. If I was a doctor, I could be presenting it to whatever I'm doing. And then at the end of the day, when I unplug my laptop, it would go back and show that room, hey, to connect to conference room 1, do this. Don't forget to keep your hands clean. And then this again gives everybody a nice feeling that there is some control or some user experience in the room. But you notice this picture is actually true to life. Not a lot of pieces and parts that need to go into the systems. All right. Number 3, wireless. So the one problem with wireless is it's wireless. And that has always been the issue with wireless. Everybody's always scared to put lots of wireless technology into a room. So we have a solution for this. We have a product called a ShareLink Pro 1000. This product allows you to put it into a conference room or boardroom, and it acts as 2 things. It can act as a user experience. You can attach a motion sensor to it directly, just as the drawing shows. You can attach hardwired networks to it. So now when I walk into the room, if I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, I'm connected to this product, right? And it has, guess what? Built-in logos. So I have information on the screen that will show up and tell me what to do. You can connect an Apple, you connect PCs, it is technology agnostic, so it does not matter what kind of product BYOD you walk in the room with, you can connect wirelessly, thus touching nothing on the screen or touching nothing. If you wanted to plug in a laptop, there is a hardwired input. Now remember, hardwired is always the best way to do things, or maybe you've got a NUC computer plugged in for Zoom or Skype or Teams. So this gives you an easy way out of that world too. Literally somebody could walk in and be using this room and not touch anything. You can also personalize the images. So I can have them show you what to do. What's the name of your company? Welcome, here's your instructions. Do this, do that. What are you trying to connect? This is very helpful. One of the biggest problems I see in a lot of the AV rooms is people walk in and they do not know how to use these rooms. And you can display some safe images on the screen too. Please remember, and the feeling I always equate it to is this. When you get into your car, you know how to drive your car. But when you get into a rental car, ladies and gentlemen, what happens? Now, I can't see you. The chances are you're feeling the same thing. There's 30, 40 seconds of anxiety. Where's the wipers? Where's the radio? Just the seats. This kind of information tells you what to do on the screen. And it is actually built into the product. So there's nothing extra you have to purchase. All right? Tells you exactly what to do. On that same note, BYOD, bring your own device, has certainly changed. We used to use VGA connections for everything, but now we have new ways to take this information and change it. So there's quite a few applications that Extron has here. You can first of all download an app now. If you're using Extron control systems, you can walk into these rooms, download an app, all right, again, any type of technology, and you can also now use QR codes, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So we're giving you a lot of automated applications for control based on the product you may be holding in your hand. This is extremely important for corporate folks who don't want to walk in, to hundreds of touch panels and hundreds of conference rooms a day or something like that, or people that are using schools and universities. They want to make sure that they're, touching a minimal amount of equipment. So you can download these apps for free, put them on your product permanently. I could walk into a classroom or a boardroom with my phone, all right? There's some initial setup requirements, which you would get this information obviously from the IT department or the AV group. And then once you did that on your phone permanently, every time David and Nicole and I walk in, I have on my phone, whichever, the actual user experience that is happening in that room. I don't have to download anything. It's on there all the time. Now remember, this does require an app. This is extremely powerful for places that have the same schools, the same universities, where the same teachers, the same corporate folks, medical laboratories, government, where they're walking to these places consistently. And remember, there's nothing else you have to download. If you have this control technology already in your building, you just need the app on your phone. All right, it allows you to do everything that you could do from the touch panel if you wanted to do that. You could simply walk in the room and do it this way. So there's, of course, some new QR code excitement. I'm sure some of you, if you haven't been to a restaurant, I think I went to a restaurant for the first time in like 6 months a while back. No menus. There's a QR code kind of taped onto the table, and you use your phone. So there's no more paper menus anywhere. Same thing can happen in these rooms. We used to walk in and there'd be instruction manuals or touch panel. You don't have to do that. So the application now is you could walk in and capture a QR code off of a touch panel, or maybe this QR code is over here on the wall, right? And I could walk in with my iPad, zap the QR code, and instead of having to use the touch panel, it would open up the web browser based on what was happening. And you'd go to that particular room, and just like you'd be in the menu system at the restaurant, you'd put your username and password. Remember, you don't want the admin password here. And it would allow you to actually click in, and suddenly, ta-da, I am controlling that room from my iPad. Now, I want to make sure I tell you straight up with this. Folks have been doing this with Extron control for a long time now. We're just, it became sort of common mojo, unfortunately, due to COVID. So this is not some newfangled thing. Anybody that had an Extron control system could have been doing this from the get-go. Put the QR code on the touch panel, put it on a piece of paper, maybe a piece of plastic on the wall, which a lot of schools and universities do that. They want to buy one touch panel, but they want to have multiple people walking around the theater, the auditorium, the building, with some way to control these rooms and have them do certain things. All right. How to do these steps? Very simple. Matter of fact, I just taught that class about half an hour ago with the Extron control class. Every time we teach you the class, we teach you how to set up what's called the virtual touch panel. The virtual touch panel would then, you'd copy that, go to any free generator for QR code, and then you would copy and paste that QR code either onto the touch panel or potentially onto the wall or onto the table. So that technology was there, at a hand's length. So you don't even have to go over to the wall to hit the touch panel. It would all just be there right on whatever product you have. All of the Extron products are extremely secure. So if your IT department doesn't want certain people on it, you can make sure that that happens. So we have trusted security sites built into all the Extron control ecosystem. So that is also not a worry. If you don't want everybody to do this, they don't have to. If you just want certain people to do this, you can allow them to do this. And again, there's no new equipment you've purchased. If you had an Extron touch panel and you had an Extron control system, or you're buying one in the future, this is included sort of for free, and it's always been there, which is fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the BYOD control application. You can download an app, right, where you do have to have it installed, and there is a little initial setup, which does make some people happy, all right, that's fine. And then there's the one where you could use the QR code, where you can go room to room and zap it based on what you're doing. So now the only issue here is that you're not going to have certain applications if some people don't allow you to have those applications. But either one will work, and all this technology is already built into the Extron arena, so you won't have to worry about that. Here's a great example of what some people have been doing with the Extron control systems. There's been lots of buttons over the years we've put on these things, help or service or AV. So now people are putting for cleaning applications, or they're actually locking down rooms. I'll give you a prime example of this. When I'm done with the class, I hit a button, it'll actually send an email out to the facilities people to either clean it or lock the room down until further notice, or whatever message you want to display. Then the touch panel will actually say, hey, we've requested this room to be cleaned. And if you walked in there and you still saw this message, you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, they forgot to clean this room. Or potentially, somebody else's a message happened and, they're going to send you to another room using the wayfinding technology. So a lot of these things can kind of work in concert together, but this is a very unique feature that we have built in. It would not take you very long to change this page at all to do something like that. So, hey, sorry, can't use this room. So the teacher would be like, hey, I can't use this room. Well, yeah, they called the IT facility or the AV facility group. They go, well, yeah, you just had a class there. We haven't cleaned it yet. So again, it goes back to some people's idea and definition of what safe or safety is to them. So we could do that too. And by the way, lots of folks have already been doing something like this with Extron control in government, military, in a similar means through just cleanliness of the room and germs. And in the military, they do a similar thing with secure and unsecure applications. You hit a button and boom, huge page shows up in the touch panel that says you're in a secure environment, right? Or you're not in a secure environment. So nothing, and then it would release itself to the next user. So then you're in business, all right? Last thing is streaming content safely. Now, this is something I've been preaching for a very long time, to make sure there is an interface in the room to stream quickly and safely. Now, we are streaming now, but we all of us who are watching this, had to do some things. I had to open up Zoom. I had to double click here. I had to add this. You guys had to. The theory is not all the teachers, not all the executives, not all the kids want to walk into rooms and have these things push 8,000 things on a laptop. Let's take a look at an application that we have that will allow you to integrate a streaming solution into a, quote unquote, older classroom or a brand new classroom or a brand new boardroom. It does not matter. I'm going to show you something where you can literally install one small interface, a small interface into a rack or a room. The teacher comes in, hits a button, doesn't hit any button, and you're streaming. All right. So we make two products. They're very similar, called the SMP line, a streaming media processor. These products will allow you to put this interface into a room. These are very similar. They just have sort of picture-in-picture processors in them. So this is a multi-channel processor, single channel. I would install this into a church. I would install this into a classroom, boardroom, conference room, government center, you name it. The end user, then, this product will push the stream to whatever platform you want. YouTube, I could go to Twitch, you name it, Panopto, Kaltura, private platforms. Not always YouTube, and I'll explain why. People are worried about sharing some of their intellectual property, speaking of safety. These products can be pushed to stream to private networks, or what I refer to jokingly as private YouTube. So what's the difference between the boxes? Well, you might have a church that just wants to show a big picture, for example, or maybe a school. You would buy a box like this. It just gives you sort of one output. And then you've got some where people want multiple outputs. They want picture-in-picture, and this would allow you to do multiple streams. So the boxes will differentiate based on the application that you would want. But in essence, they do the same thing. I can walk in and with the push of a button or no buttons, because this product can be scheduled to work by itself. All right, let's take a look at this. I could walk into the classroom. I could walk into the boardroom, wherever I want to. And through a series of maybe controllers or something else, this interface will stream my presentation or me or whatever I'm saying to whatever platform you want, an enterprise platform. Now, these are some of the fan favorites. We currently have an application where you can work with these manufacturers, and the app actually ships in the box. So you want to talk about simple. You buy the box for Panopto. It kind of comes with the Panopto app in it. You just then contact Panopto. There's a little test thing in there. Teacher walks in, hits one button or no button, I'll show you in a second. And we are now streaming to Panopto, live and recording. Same with Kaltura, Uja, OpenCast. There's a slew of these applications. It is in essence the same interface, right? And I can go on and on and on about the applications for this. You name it, it's being used. You could well imagine a safe way with some of these applications is to not have every student in the classroom or every corporate person in there. Maybe you have the rooms half full or 1/3 full and you're streaming to everybody else, but you don't want everybody to have to always open up Zoom or open up some other product. You might want to stream this to a classroom across the street where there's a decoder, and this allows you to do that. Something you should note about these products: they can trigger very simply. Look at all these options. So I could theoretically just have a button. So, hey, I'm going to hit a button, bang, I'm streaming. I could have my own virtual app on my phone where I walk into a classroom and it allows me to open up my phone, hit a button, and I'm now pushing my stream safely to Panopto or whichever technology you're using. There could be a one button pusher on the lectern. There could be a touch panel. Obviously, if you were doing that, you could use the QR code, as I just mentioned, with the media link panels. And we do make microphones that have little tiny buttons on them, right on the side, where I could walk in, put on the microphone, hit the button, and I'm streaming live to Panopto. When I'm done, I hit the button, take off the microphone, and it stops. I literally touch nothing but my own microphone. Remember, that's all about safety in those applications. All right. So there's some nice applications for those. And don't forget, there are some proper ways, and this is something that I've heard some people say in the past. Sometimes the low-tech way with some of these is a very safe way to make sure you're cleaning the products. But don't forget about the new ways that you can do this. You can use motion sensors. You can use different types of control technology. You can use the QR codes that are built into that. You can use streaming interfaces. All of these things will make the room safer for these people to use, and you can get all of these products right now. That comes to the end. I hope you enjoyed my interactive workshop. Again, my name is Carl Rosenberg with Extron. I'm one of the teachers. If you have any questions, you can always email me at krosenberg@extron.com. You can obviously find me through David and his team and Nicole and their team at LightWerks. So I thank you very much for that opportunity. If there's any questions or if there's anything I needed to answer, Nicole took back over. Well done, Nicole.
Thanks so much.
Please let me
Carl,
know.
that was excellent. We do have some questions here. I have a question that says, is the TLSI 201 usable with other room scheduling systems?
So at the moment, it is just with ours. What it does is it harvests just the Extron room schedulers, which are the TLS products. Just ours.
Great. Next question. Does your control interface rely on manual triggering to determine when a room needs cleaning?
So you could do that. It's a great question. Based on if you have a motion sensor hooked up. So now please remember, all Extron touch panels have motion sensors, which is an important feature of the Extron control ecosystem. And so yes, you could use the motion sensor. And if you had a media link or something else, you could buy an external motion sensor. So the answer is yes, if you have a motion sensor, for sure.
Excellent. One last question. Can the SMP stream to multiple video platforms at a time?
Yes, it can. It can. Good question. So the last one I showed you, the box with the SMP 352, will allow you to stream simultaneously and record to 2 different platforms at the same time. So for example, you could send it to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Yes. Just make sure you buy the 2 version. I guess that would be the 3rd one I showed you. But yes, the SMP 352.